I'm already like 30 ounces in today. So,
All right, folks. Welcome to Real Estate Success. I'm your host, Mena Badros, here today with Jason Burkholder, is a realtor and associate broker at Welcome Home Real Estate. Also, a director at the Pennsylvania Association of Realtors and immediate past president at the Reading Berks Association of Realtors. Jason, great to have you here today.
thank you so much, Mina. It's great to be here.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, before we kind of dive into real estate business, I'd love to people to get to know who you are. So, without mentioning any of your professional accomplishments, who is Jason?
Uh, I would say I am a volunteer and a community advocate. So forget professional accomplishments. I love where I live. I live in a wonderful community, Lidditz, Pennsylvania. It's a wonderful town full of amazing small businesses and people. I have family here, my wife, and we have kids that attend the school district, and our community hosts events and community gatherings better than most. And I don't say that to degrade other people as much as say that it's just you have to come and experience what we do here to see how it happens.
Awesome. I love it. How did you get started in real estate?
So before I was in real estate, when I was in high school, I never knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. So I never went to college. When I got out of high school, I took a job in with the poultry manufacturer in their wastewater treatment plant. Worked my way up to a licensed operator, and then that turned into a management role after a couple years. I left that position and went in my early 20s to another firm doing water, sewer, streets department for a local municipality. That contractor operations firm, I worked for them for a few years till one bright, sunny spring morning, they came in and laid me off.
Hmm.
And at that point in my life, I was like, well, what am I going to do next? As I said earlier, I like to throw in the never went to college thing because, sometimes if you can't check off that college degree box, it's hard to get hired into certain jobs if you want to switch professions. So, um, figured that after putting in some applications and not quite getting anywhere during that time, I was transitioning careers. I thought I'd give this real estate thing a shot, and I thought, well, I know people that are real estate agents, and I like people, so maybe this would be a business that works for me. And that was back in 2003. So here I am, almost 20 years later.
Awesome. So, quickly take us through your real estate journey. Obviously, you're not where you started. So, how did you kind of get started, and how has it evolved to what you're doing today?
Well, there's so many different ways. I mean, when I was a brand new baby agent, I was fortunate to have a mentor who took me under her wing just because, you need mentors in this business. And she said, you have to actually work, and put in the effort. And so I did. My first year in the business, I was with a different company when I started out. My first 12 full year in the business, I was rookie of the year. I had sold more houses than any other person who had only been in their first year. And I kind of looked around and I was like, wait, me? I was just going to work every day. Like, what are you talking about? And I just kind of focused on doing what everybody always tells you to do, which is focus on the clients, focus on the best outcome for them. I was also told to get involved at the local association, so I joined some committees, and started learning, and I found that it's really really beneficial to be involved at your local real estate association and at state and national level because you just get exposed to professionals from across the spectrum. People with different ideas, different thoughts. I mean, there's um, places in the state of Pennsylvania right now. You and I are doing a Zoom meeting. There's places in the state of Pennsylvania right now that don't have the bandwidth to do Zoom meetings because they haven't run high speed internet right there. And that's right now today in 2023.
Right.
And you don't think about that when you're operating where we are until you talk to someone from one of those markets and you go, oh wait, that's an issue for you guys still, and one person was like, yeah, we have the equivalent of one step up from dial-up speeds through the phone company. We can't do those kind of meetings. So, for me, my journey was simple. I started working and I said, how do I differentiate myself as a real estate agent? And the thought process was obviously service, obviously doing transactions, doing a good job for the clients. And then the second thing was education. Lots of real estate agents have lots of designations. There's not a lot of people who understand what those designations are. And so one of the first things I did was start getting those designations on the way to my associate broker's license, which I got in 2007, because I figured, people know what the word broker means. That has transitioned in and a sales and management role. I help train and coach agents, help new agents get in the business, help experienced agents solve problems. That also, turned into, again, opportunities to learn things at different association committees, and, about how the back end of the real estate business works. I think the best thing that I can say about the real estate business is, again, when you focus on the people and you surround yourself with people that do the same, it creates a great environment for everybody. Home ownership is, one of the basic tenements of American dream, so to speak. It's a wealth builder. We can talk about all the differences in household wealth, for people that own real estate versus rent. But in the end, people just want to own real estate. They want to own their own house. They want to have a piece of something they can call their own. And we're lucky enough to do that. So, the evolution of my real estate career, long-winded answer of where you started with, was I just focus on helping people get that thing to call their own.
Awesome. I love it. And I mean, you mentioned why you got involved early on in your career in associations, meeting professionals, getting ideas, getting to network. Why else should agents look to get involved in their local and state associations?
Well, one of the things that I think is great about the real estate world is we are members. If you are a realtor, you're a member of the National Association of Realtors. There is like 1.5 million of us across the country, and we are one of the largest trade organizations in America. And our power has always come from our numbers at state level, at national level, and at local level. We work hard in the associations to foster relationships with local government officials, with nonprofits, with people that can help our clients. So, for example, one of the things that we accomplished here in Pennsylvania at state level last year was the state of Pennsylvania recognizing a 1031 exchange. So a 1031 exchange is a tax deferred program that lets people reinvest money. Well, Pennsylvania was the last state in the nation that didn't recognize them. So does that mean, can you not do a 1031 in PA? No, it did not mean that. It meant the federal laws still apply, but it also meant that Pennsylvania would still collect their 3% capital gains during that process. Well, we worked with the legislators to get legislation through the legislature and signed by the governor so that the state of Pennsylvania now recognizes that. We also work on things at the local level. So, for example, if there's a municipality that passes a point of sale inspection ordinance, that can have a direct impact on people that are buying and selling. So, for example, there's municipalities that I've come across in my career where the municipality would say a buyer has to have a home inspection done, which we could all say that's not a bad thing. Sure, have a home inspection. Great, go for it. But the problem was the municipality said you can only use the home inspector we allow. You must give us a copy of the report and we tell you what has to be fixed. You don't get to decide that on your own. So let's say a home buyer is buying a fixer-upper. Lots of people like to buy fixer-uppers. They want to put their own spin on it. And they go, well, yeah, I knew I was buying a fixer-upper. I knew all these things were wrong with it. I'm fine with it. I'm going to fix all of those things. This particular municipality was saying, well, you can't close on the transaction until those things are done. So we have a homeowner who's selling a house that doesn't have the capacity to fix it. We have a buyer who goes, well, I have the capacity to fix it. I'd like to do it. And municipality standing in the way going, well, you can't. It has to be fixed before closing.
Yeah.
The power of the real estate organization, we work together with them. And of course, the expertise our practitioners have, along with the professionals at the association, who are the association employees. And we work to change those things to make sure that we're working to the benefit of the people that are buying and selling. Our job is to protect and promote homeownership rights for all. And sometimes that involves working with municipalities to create programs that incentivize things. Some of it involves working at state or local level to make sure they're not passing legislation that's getting in the way of that.
Right. Awesome. Now you're involved in a lot of different things, right? So how do you spend your day, or where does your time go as a real estate professional?
Oh, my day is all over the place. So one of the most beautiful thing about being self-employed is that you get to set your schedule however you want. Obviously, I have to accommodate my clients. Obviously, I have a home life. There's a balance. No 2 days are ever the same for me. There's a bunch of nonprofits I like to volunteer with. And I kind of start my week out looking at the week ahead and saying, what do I have where, and kind of parceling out so that each day I'm obviously meeting the needs of my clients, working on my business as well as in my business, and also being able to devote the time to, some of the nonprofit work that I do, which some of it is as simple as, working with a organization that helps immigrants and refugees, and picking them up and taking them, to a doctor's appointment or a job interview or something like that, or deliveries for the local food bank. Or here in my town, we just had a big fire and ice festival, and I was able to devote a lot of time with helping out on the back end of social media and, the logistics of that. It's from a service perspective. So how do I spend my time? Well, every day is different. I'd say I probably spend the majority of my day split between, working with my clients and, doing some volunteer work, working in my business. I'd say probably a third of my days in the office, a third of my days about, with people. And then, another third of it is, at home with my family.
Awesome. I love that. So, I mean, it kind of goes along with being able to create your own life, right, as a real estate professional.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the beauties of our profession. However, some people come into it and feel like they have to follow a rigorous schedule because somebody else told them that's what they do, right? Um, how did you kind of find that balance of like, I'm going to do things my way, I'm going to create my own life. This is kind of how I want to do things as far as business and life, and not like everybody else is doing it.
I spent a lot of time being unbalanced, to be honest with you. And I think the interesting thing is, if you look at people that are entering the real estate world now, or maybe only been in for the last couple of years, they've probably been exposed to a lot of social media of people that look successful rather than are successful. At the risk of sounding rude, I'm sorry. There's a lot of people that are successful and do things well, and also look good on social media. But again, like life itself, in the modern day world, there's people that are better at taking selfies than they are at selling houses, but they look real good on social media doing it. So people assume they're successful. And I apply that same metric to entertainment television. There's certain channels that show real estate shows where they show, people selling $1 million houses. Man, that is not how the real estate business works. And half the people that are acting on those shows, which is really what it is, would not actually be in compliance with the code of ethics, with the things they do and the things they say. And they're certainly not doing the best for their client. That is not reality. So you do not actually work a regular schedule. You can set a regular schedule. You can also look at opportunities. So when I was a brand new baby agent, I walked in on a Monday morning. So again, this is back in 2003. So think, this is back before we had smartphones. iPhone really hit the market in 2008. Had a flip phone, back then. I had a Motorola Razr. It was super cool. And I'm in on a Monday morning. I was standing next to a copier waiting my turn, and there's an agent in my office. It's about 9 a.m. and he's looking at his phone, and his phone dinged like 4 times. And I'm like, oh, what's that? He goes, oh, they're my voicemails. So you got 4 voicemails already. You're popular on a Monday morning. And he goes, nah, that was from the weekend. I shut my phone off on Friday at 5. I just turned it back on again. Now, that was an agent who had been in the business for a few years. And I said, you shut your phone off? He goes, yeah, if they want something, they can wait. Now, there's something to be said for having a life. There's also something to be said when you're an entrepreneur that you go, wait a minute. So you don't answer your phone on the weekend. That means if I answer my phone on the weekend, I could differentiate myself. Now, obviously, that's turned into a world where people text you all the time. They expect availability there. It's a little bit of a different world right now. But I spent a lot of time working to try and build that balance. And some weeks I'm out of balance. Let's be honest, that's just life. But working to build that balance, to create that, I think the biggest myth of real estate is the myth of the independent contractor, because we are all independent. However, nobody is successful in a vacuum. And you have to rely on other people to be successful in the long run, or you just work yourself. So when you look at things like building a team and having other people you can share with, whether you brand that as a team or whether you just partner up with other agents in your office, when I look at real estate success and I look at how did I build my schedule and do that and answer your question. Some people look at working a regular schedule. If you want a regular schedule, you first have to embrace the irregular schedule. You first have to say, all right, I'm going to time block. And if I was going to allocate, 3 hours of my day for prospecting, and I wake up in the morning and there's something that's urgent pulling me in a different direction, you don't just not prospect that day. You just do it at a different time. So for me, that success of a schedule comes in, let's call it time blocking, and organization. And when something pulls you in a different direction, which it will, you just shift back in and you shift your things around your schedule. It's kind of a moving part. And I think that myth of the independent contractor also pairs hand in hand with the myth of a regular work schedule. Real estate is unlike any other business. You do not punch a clock from 9 to 5. You just don't. And if you're only going to work 9 to 5 and you can be successful that way, fantastic. There is absolutely a place in the real estate market for people like that. And I commend them for being able to do that. That being said, most of my clients need me on the evenings and weekends. And some of them need me during the day and some of them need me during the afternoon. So I have to be available, or I have to have people that assist me by being available when I can't, so that we can take care of them.
All right. I thank you for answering that so candidly, and being transparent with that. So I mean, it's kind of like a week by week thing, right? And sometimes you're gonna get thrown off balance, and that's okay, right?
Yep,
And kind of
it is.
don't frustrate yourself with that, right? It's the nature
Mm.
of our business in a way.
Yeah. I think the most important tool an independent contractor can have is resilience. I mean, you're going to write an offer and sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. Well, you go on, you help your people move on to the next one. Not everything is meant to be, and when you say you're going to get knocked off track, you're going to get knocked off track every single day. Every single day. I stopped in my local coffee shop, here where I stop in on a regular basis. And I thought I'd be in there 5 minutes. I was in there for an hour talking to people. It was great. Did it throw my schedule off track? Yeah, a little bit, but I had some great conversations with people. So it wasn't a bad thing.
Right. What do you enjoy the most? I mean, you do a lot of things, even just as a real estate professional. Which role or what, out of the things that you do would you say is the most rewarding?
I'm going to say the intangible. It's working with people. Whatever gets you out working with other professionals or with your clients. I mean, there's a lot of excitement, when someone is buying or selling a house and you can be part of that life-changing moment. I mean, not to be dramatic, but we literally do change people's lives. The average person buys a house, I don't know, unless they're a real estate investor, they're buying a house 1 to 3 times in their life. There are some people that move more frequently. Maybe they're in the 4 to 6 range, but think about that. In the span of a lifetime, the average person buying 1 to 3 homes, and home is not just sticks and bricks. It's where they live. They build their
Right.
entire identity around where they live and what they do and where they get to go home every day. And I think that's the most exciting part of it, when you're working to change people's lives and working with those people and getting to experience the highest highs and sometimes the lowest lows. We help people through difficult times in their life as well. But being able to be with the people that need our help and help them through those moments in their life, that's the most rewarding part.
For sure. I mean, it's all about helping people, and I mean, we get to do that in different capacities, and you get to do that in a lot of different roles as well.
Mhm.
What's next for you? Right? There's always something going on, always the next thing.
Yeah.
What's next for you?
Well, next is always relative. So for me, there's always an evolution in the real estate world. Continuing education. I'm a big believer in education. Somebody told me when I was new in the business that there was a direct link in the real estate world to continuing education and earning more money or doing a better job for your clients, whichever one you want it to be, or life satisfaction. So to me, my journey is going to include continuing education, earning another designation. I've got a bunch of designations and certifications, and this year I'm going to finish up what I need to do to earn my CRS designation, because that's one I don't have yet. And I think that is something that every independent contractor should include. Your business plan should include a plan for self improvement, a plan for education, a plan for improving your technology, so on and so forth. But you have to grow and you have to change with the times. And I think there's too many of the people that are in our business that wait till a month before their license is due for renewal to hurry up and take 14 hours to check that off the box. You are missing the point of continuing education. Continuing education is supposed to help you grow as a professional. And so what's next for me is this year, I'm going to do that. I'm going to continue to expand my team and the services I offer. I'm sitting right now in an office. So late in 2022, I was able to open a small branch office in my town, right on Main Street. So I'm going to continue to expand the services that I have here and grow that, so that we can continue that presence here. So my office is not just a real estate office, but it's also a community hub. So during that event that we just had in my town, that Fire and Ice event, we were able to host a student photography exhibition. I'm a big supporter of the local arts and music and small business scene. So continuing to expand on that role here in my town to help make sure that I support those local people that need it. You know, we are fortunate today to have a platform in social media, to have a presence in our community. There's stuff like this, 10 years ago, you and I would not be doing a video interview for a podcast. It just wasn't the thing. So we have this platform now. And so what's next for me is to continue to use the platform I have to help support my local community and just spread some good around to people.
Awesome. You talked about kind of supporting local community. I see you're very active in your community, and you're getting your office to be very active as well. And I think community involvement for a real estate professional is key. What are some things that you have done and types of events that you or your office have kind of taken part of?
Well, there's a number of different things. So for me personally, I volunteer with a number of different organizations, and I do everything from fundraising to, like I said, volunteering. In my community, there's a day in the spring where we all go around town and we clean up after winter. Everything from picking up trash to doing TV interviews, and everything in between. I think there's no job too big or no job too small for us to jump into. I love, if you go and you look, the National Association of Realtors has what they call the Good Neighbor Awards, and every year they spotlight people across the country who are realtors who are doing amazing things in their community. So, for example, this past year there were a couple winners that had started nonprofits. So there's one right here in Pennsylvania, Heather, and she started a food bank, and she feeds people across her city, across the world, and ships out boxes everywhere. I mean, you look at these people and you go, those are the people I want to be when I grow up, kind of thing. And it's so inspirational. And you kind of look at what they do, and they'll give you the same answer that I just gave you. What do you do? Anything that needs done. If they need help volunteering for a local community event and they need someone to be on the planning committee and run it, we'll step up and do that. If they just need someone to stand at a gate and take a ticket or pick up trash or make sure that the tables get put away at the end of the night, we'll show up and do that too. I think it comes back to that service mentality is what helps. The other things I would say that, from a community involvement standpoint, from a real estate professional, real estate success, what should you do? What are you passionate about? Because I think there's room for everybody and everything, so if there's a cause that you're really passionate about, that's the one that's going to light your fire. Well, what more can you do to help advance that cause?
All right. And if I'm starting as a new real estate agent, and let's say in a new area, how do you go about finding those volunteer opportunities? Are there specific organizations you connect to or specific sites you search?
Yes. So I think that one of the things that the nonprofit world still is at the moment is scattered. So here in Lancaster County in central Pennsylvania and a lot of places, there is the United Way has a resource. It's a 211 you could call. You can go to United Way and Google it, and they have a resource that lists all of the nonprofits. You generally can go around your town. You have your Rotary clubs, your Lions clubs, your AmBucks, or your Kiwanis organization. I would say if you want to do something, I'm currently enrolled in a class that graduate from, so to speak, in May. It's called Leadership Lancaster, and they started off in class 1 saying, let's identify problems or holes or opportunities in the community that need solved. What do you think needs done? Now, before you run out and start your own nonprofit, why don't you look around and see who's already doing it?
All right.
Is there already somebody working to accomplish it? And generally there is. So if there's an organization out there already doing it, I think that the first and easiest way, when you say, how do I find those opportunities? Show up. They never turn away volunteers. They don't. If you show up when there's an event And even if you know there's an event going on, you go find someone working the event and say, hey, how can I help? I'd like to be more involved. 99% of the time, they're going to say, we would love to have you. Absolutely. Here you go. And they'll hand you your shovel or your broom or your t-shirt, and they'll put you to work. These organizations are there. So I recently joined, for example, the Friends of the local public library. It's a little bit of a service club that helps do things like, used book sales and stuff like that. I haven't done anything yet. I'll be honest. I just joined literally a month ago, but I'm going to go to the first meeting and see how I can help. So I found out about it and I said, hey, is there an opportunity to help? And they said, sure, we always love more help. And so I'm going to go and see how I can help.
There's always an opportunity to help.
Yeah, I think ask. I think, when you say, if I'm starting off as a new real estate professional, what could I do to get involved? The first thing you got to do is not be shy. But that's sales 101. Go talk to people.
If there was one thing that you did that had a big impact on your real estate career, what would that one thing be? Or what you think is the thing that had the biggest impact? And you may have mentioned it already.
Well, I would say education, learning from people that are already successful. The real estate world is like everything else. It's an industry full of people trying to sell you a silver bullet. If there was a way that I could buy this stuff from this website, or pay for this coaching system, or pay for this CRM system, that meant I could sit in my office, I could work 30 hours a week and make, $300,000 a year selling real estate, I'm pretty sure we'd all be doing that. There's actually not a way to do that. So I think what you have to do, what made the biggest impact in my career, was finding out what worked for me. Because I looked at what worked for a lot of people. There was an agent that started a year or so from me, and he was really, really successful selling high-end houses. But you know what? He actually lived in those communities and he connected with those people. And when I looked at what he was actually doing, he was just connecting with the people that he knew and working the skill set that he already had. So I think what made the biggest difference in my career was taking those classes and getting involved with the association. And I think you got to leave your ego at the door. And I think you've got to see what other people are doing and make it your own.
So you said you kind of find out what worked for you without going too much into detail of that. What is that, if you could sum it down?
I would sum it down by being a regular person. You know what people are? They're just people. So whether they want to buy a $50,000 house or a $500,000 house, they might have different budgets, but they got similar concerns. They're just people. So I think it starts by being a person, being approachable, by talking to people, by realizing that it's not actually about you, it's about them. And they work on their schedule. And you might have somebody who disappears for a week and a half, and then they pop up later because they were just busy.
Right.
They weren't ghosting you. They were just busy. Now they're back again. They want some help. So I think the thing that I would say that I did that made me the most successful beyond education was making myself available when my clients needed me. Now, that is different than being someone's doormat. That is not what I am suggesting. I am saying that whether they buy a house next week or next year, I'm okay with that. I'll be here.
All right. So availability is the best ability, right?
Yep, absolutely. Whatever you want. All right, I'll be ready when you're ready. Let me know.
All right. If you were starting your real estate career today, current economy, modern technology, what would you focus on?
Well, I would pair that off into two directions. First, I would definitely make sure that I talk to people and I would focus on people. Knowing what I know now, I would say that there are a lot of real estate agents that are investing time in TikTok and pointing to disappearing captions. Good on you if that works, but that does not actually help you differentiate yourself as a knowledgeable professional. Sometimes people want to understand what's happening to make their own decisions. So I would say what I would focus on was talking to people about what's happening and helping break through the clutter. One of the things you see right now in the world that we have of the internet and the saturation and the 24/7 media coverage is just endless hours of commentary on what's happening on the national real estate scene. You know what? There isn't a national real estate scene. The national real estate forecast is as useful to me in central Pennsylvania as the national weather forecast. So
Right.
I do think what happens in California can have an effect here, but I'm also not in California. So I don't actually know that what's happening with Florida home prices, other than maybe being a broader demographic shift of the economy, if the home prices are dropping in Tampa Bay, Florida, what does that have to do with central Pennsylvania? Very little to nothing. I can tell you that where we live in central Pennsylvania, I heard a statistic in Lancaster County that 48% of the U.S. population lives within a 6-hour drive of Lancaster County. If I compare the population of Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, it's about 555,000, 560,000 people, to the state of Wyoming, which is about 750,000 people. Like, there's literally more people within a 20-minute drive of me than there are, or I'm sorry, within an hour drive of me than there are in the whole state of Wyoming. So is it fair to say that what works in Wyoming won't work here? No, of course not. It's great. Wyoming's a wonderful state. There's lots of things I can learn from those people, but it's two very different things. So I think what you focus on as a new agent is focusing on what works in your marketplace. What can you borrow from a technology perspective that connects you more to people, and how do you help people directly? Because 3 out of every 4 people find the real estate agent they use from a referral from a friend or a family member. That statistic has not changed in the entire time I've been in real estate. That's still the number one way someone finds an agent. So yes, there are times where a stranger is going to come to you off the internet. Yes, there are times where you're going to get a client because you happen to have a listing. Of course, you should take advantage of that. But also, that's maybe 25% of your business. The other 75% of your business over the course of your career is going to come from people that met you, that like you, and then refer other people to you.
All right. Uh, so we were talking about new agents. How about one piece of advice for seasoned agents, and then I'll ask for a message of all professionals.
I think seasoned agents should do the same thing that new agents should do. We'll combine that all into one. I think my ego is probably bigger than the building I'm sitting in right now, if not the town that I'm in. But we all have to kind of let our ego go. What I've seen over the years sometimes is that we have to focus on what's doing best for our clients, and we have to shift with the times. It is 2023. What works in 2023 might not be what worked in 2020 or even 2015. And so there's a lot of people that are constantly relearning the business. I had the opportunity recently to be talking to an agent a couple months ago who's been in the business 40 some years. And he said, I don't like to tell anybody I've been in the business 40 some years. He goes, anybody who's been in the business more than 2 years, knows what's happening. He goes, anyone who's not been in the business, that long, they'll get there. He goes, but real estate changes every couple of years. If I'm doing what I did 40 years ago, I'm not successful now. It doesn't matter that I've been around for 40 years. I do have the experience, but it's more important to change with the times. And I would say, from a new agent perspective, please do not chase flashy silver bullets. Go be the silver bullet. Don't chase flashy items. There is not an app you can download or a program you can subscribe to that is going to win you the success that talking to human beings will win you.
And I love the concept of relearning the business, and basically having to constantly do that, and letting go of your ego so that you can be in learning mode all the time.
Yep.
You're very involved. You get to talk to a lot of real estate professionals. If you were, speaking on stage to a lot of real estate professionals, what would be your message right now?
My message right now would be very simple. People are confused. People are thinking that what we have now is an indicator of more change to come. And you know what? They're right, because the only thing we know about tomorrow is it's going to be different than today. However, I would say that the trending and the forecasting has as much opportunity to be correct as the weather reports. My favorite analogy. How many times does your weather person on TV say it's going to rain tomorrow and it doesn't rain? How many times did it said the interest rates were going to be 7%? How many times did they say they were going to drop to 5%? Okay, the best a forecaster can do is be right 50% of the time. It doesn't matter what's going to happen a year from now, because the average person moves every 7 to 10 years. Used to be 5 to 7. So if somebody is going to buy a house and they can see themselves living in that house for at least the next 3 to 5 years, who cares what the economy is going to do? You've got a home. you've got a place of your own. I think helping people cut through the clutter and cut through the noise. There's one message I could give to real estate professionals is be professional and help people understand the market. Don't throw data at them, throw context at them. Help them see what applies to them, because it would be foolish for me to say the broader economic patterns across the nation won't affect them. It will. If the Fed raises interest rates and that affects the treasury bond market and the stock market, it will affect mortgage interest rates. Okay. The rudest thing I can say, though, is a mortgage interest rate being a little higher only matters if you keep the mortgage for 30 years. The average person doesn't keep a mortgage for 30 years. Somewhere in the next 5 to 10 years, they're going to move, or they're going to refinance it, or they're going to accelerate their payments and pay it off. So if the interest rate is 6.5, does it mean it costs you more per month than if the interest rate is 6? Yes, it does. I won't want to overlook that. It definitely has an impact on your budget. But you shop within your budget and you be responsible. And as real estate professionals, I think we need to make sure that people understand it's okay to buy a starter house. I think that there are some people that want to jump right out of an apartment or right out of a family member's house and jump right into that $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 house. That's not realistic. If you've got the budget for it, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with a starter house. There's nothing wrong with doing what every generation before you did, which is buy the little house or the medium-sized house, live in it for 5 to 10 or 15 years, and then go buy the bigger house. That's okay.
Right, for sure. Thank you, Jason. Thank you so much. I took up a lot of your time today, so I appreciate you and all the knowledge you shared with us. And hopefully we'll do this again.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on. Hopefully it helps people.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. I've been taking some notes myself. I'm going to listen to it again, and we'll talk soon. Thanks again.
Absolutely. Thank you, my friend.
Yep. Have a good one.
You too.